Can everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening. It's Tuesday, August 11th, a little after 7:30. We just came from executive session where we were talking about personnel matters. The first item on the agenda, which I believe probably most of you are here for, is a public hearing on a proposed local law modifying Chapter 240, 10.1 of the Village Code concerning prohibited turns on North Ridge Street. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start by opening the public hearing. And then a couple of things, I want to let Chris give a little bit of background. I have a few things to say, and then obviously this is a public hearing. There is a sign-up sheet that Greg has right here. So if you would like to speak and you have not signed up, please let Greg know or raise your hand. He'll come around. We'll get your name on the sign-up sheet. And, if you're not signed up, and once everyone who's signed up has already spoken and you have something to say, obviously we're going to let you speak. If this isn't, this isn't just where you speak when you're signed up. So, all right. So can I have a motion in a second, please, to open the public?
Motion.
Second.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. All right, Chris, would you like to give a little background, please?
Sure, happy to do that. I think we're all aware of the concern on North Ridge Street, near Ridge Street School. The current concern is that the amount of with cars that end up queuing, it's worse in the afternoon than it is in the morning, although morning is still an issue. But in the afternoon pickup time, what happens is because the vehicles don't have enough space on the campus to flow through, or they're waiting for the children to come out, they end up having queuing on North Ridge Street in both the north and the southern direction, which can be, a safety concern for travelers going on North Ridge Street. There's not enough room to get through for the emergency vehicles, and you can have the potential, when you went out and observe it, with potential for some head-to-head as people are trying to pass the cars in the queuing areas. You try to pass the cars and they will go basically head-to-head and you're kind of at a standstill. So obviously that's a safety concern for the village, and everybody wants to see if there's a better solution that we could try to do. So we always try to work with the schools, and we try to do it together. We agreed we'd wait for the school year to end and try to come up with some recommendations for the next school year to try to make some improvements. We've met with Dr. Alm, we met with Principal Taylor, myself, the Chief Dengler initially. We've had several meetings on the topic. We looked at various options that were out there. Some of the longer-term, bigger options could be much more expensive, and they may have to be considered in the future. But one of the things we noticed was, cars start queuing very early, and they can go as early as 2:15 is the report for a 3 o'clock dismissal, which is a long time to be sitting on Ridge Street. So one of the thoughts we did in our recommendations was basically to recommend no left turns for vehicles going northbound. So try to keep the cars flowing northbound so that flow will continue and emergency vehicles would still be able to get through the area. That was the thought process. In general, left turns tend to be problems because they really back people up. It slows down the queuing. It can create more hazards by doing that. Right turns are a lot safer in turns, and they flow better. So one of the thought process that we had and we discussed was an option to prohibit left-hand turns going on into the northern and central, I'll call it north, central, and southern parking lots. So the northern and the central parking lot, to prohibit the left-hand turns going north, would keep that flowing. And also requiring north turns out of those lots will also make it easier to flow because they're not competing with the traffic that's flowing north. Is it a perfect solution? No, it's not a perfect solution. We know that. And there's positives and negatives on both. It is something that we thought we could try and that we would recommend that would improve the current situation. In looking at that, something we talked to the school and we said, let's try this. I think you called it a pilot, Dr. And whatever you want to call it, but nothing we do can't be undone, but we thought this might be something that the village could look at and make the situation better than what's there now. Because the primary issue for us is keeping the traffic flowing, preventing accidents, and getting vehicles through the area, particularly emergency vehicles. We have discussed it with our emergency services, police, fire, EMS, who believe that this would improve the situation considerably. And also, we've reviewed it with Cornell Local Roads that did a technical review of it and gave comments. So, again, this is a step, we thought, and we make the recommendations. That's the local laws before that would put this into effect, which would prohibit turns going left, northern lot and the middle lot, and prohibit left turns out of the northern and central lot, except for buses, which would continue to be able to go into the northern lot, because that's something that we're trying to keep the flow of the buses. If it's approved, then the police would be there in the beginning of the school year to assist and kind of make sure that everyone has the new patterns underway. Might put cones out too to prevent the less. It's only from 2 to 3:30 is the proposal, so it's not all day. And the idea is to try to keep the flow moving at least in one lane going north. So that's the concept. Does it come with problems? Sure. There's things that we know that people could expect. We know that basically you're creating a queuing situation going south on Ridge Street, so you're going to have that. There'll be an impact on the local roads in that area. That would definitely be something to expect. People have to find new traffic patterns. It's going to take a little longer for parents and caregivers, to get in and out of dropping off the kids. So that's something that would be an adjustment for sure for the parents and people getting ready to bring their children there. What happens if it doesn't work? Then we'll continue to work with the school and look for other options. A lot of those options would be much more, we'd expect those options to be the options we looked at to be much more costly, particularly for the school district on making changes on campus. So those are the things we discussed. These are the recommendations from staff. It's currently set for a public hearing tonight to get feedback from the community.
Thank you, Chris. And one thing I would add to what Chris said is that, should this pass tonight, the other thing that we will do, we'll work in concert with the school district to make sure that we're sending out a lot of public notice so that people are aware of the changes and also giving some recommendations on what people can do. Actually, I will credit one of my friends who came up to me and said that to me and said, usually if I'm getting an email saying that I can't do something anymore, it's telling me something else I can do potentially. So we'll make sure that there is a very active public campaign. So in a minute, typically with these, what we do is we're going to hear from the public first, then we go to the public comment first, then we'll discuss it further as a board. We usually, have our board comments after the public comments. So if you've signed up, when I call your name, please approach the podium. Even though I've just said your name, if you could just state your name and address, please. And also, just customary at these public hearings, make sure that you're addressing us, not others in the crowd, and I would ask everyone to be respectful of others' opinions, but also respectful of others' time. You all gave your time to come here tonight. We want to make sure that everyone's able to speak their piece. So, all right. And then if you've said something you're kind of taking a little bit long, I may ask you to reach a conclusion. And then what I would ask is if there's more that you would like to say, maybe come up at the end after everyone else has already spoken. We're not going to, end this, until everyone's had a chance to speak. All right. Okay. So, first I have, I can't even read names.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve Handler.
Right.
Sorry.
My handwriting. Hello, testing. Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Steve Handler, I live at 14 Rocking Horse Trail. I appreciate the village and school district's effort to address the traffic problem. My concern is that this proposal does not actually solve the problem. It simply shifts a significant burden of it to another area. In fact, the proposal itself, and Christopher just acknowledged that Country Ridge residents will experience increased traffic. Moving congestion from Ridge Street into residential neighborhoods should not be considered a long-term solution. It's worth noting right when you make the turn onto Rocking Horse Trail, there are 2 stop signs in both directions that half the people don't actually stop. And there's also sort of a blind curve around there that also adds to the danger. In that neighborhood also, there are no sidewalks, and kids, their caretakers, ride bikes, walk. So all those people cannot take buses, not an option. It's not allowed, they're too close. So they all walk. So you're adding a lot of vehicular traffic where you know there are people walking. I'm also concerned that we have not identified the root cause. This school has been operating for decades, and to my knowledge is serving a similar number of students as it has for many years. What has changed? Is enrollment higher? Are significantly more parents driving their kids to school and not using the buses? That's the primary concern. Before redesigning traffic patterns, residents deserve to understand why a long-standing situation has suddenly become severe enough to require this change. The school recently underwent a multi-million-dollar renovation. If traffic circulation and pickup operations were already a known challenge, why were entrance and exit configurations not evaluated or improved as part of that project? We've spent tens of millions of dollars on this project. One would think that that would have been an ideal opportunity to address this. Before implementing this proposal, there are a few questions I think we should be addressing and considering. Why is it acceptable to simply shift a significant portion of the burden from one area to another? Why is it acceptable to put the children of Country Ridge at greater risk? Has the village quantified how much additional traffic Country Ridge will experience? What traffic counts were conducted before making this recommendation? Were Country Ridge residents formally consulted? You made mention that we will make sure everybody knows where to turn, not to turn. None of us even knew that this meeting was taking place until yesterday. To at least some degree, it would appear the congestion problem is not solely due to roadway design, but is being exacerbated by what you mentioned, and the school seems to be permitting it, is that why are cars queuing up 45 minutes before dismissal? That should be a no-no. What measures were considered to prevent early queuing? Was a virtual queue system considered? Did the district evaluate policies that discourage arriving before designated pickup time? What is the school doing to encourage bus ridership versus driving? This is an absolute key and cannot be ignored. And finally, I would say, and Chris, you brought this up as well, the recommendation, in my opinion, so far, seems to prefer the cheapest option rather not necessarily the best option. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. All right.
Steve,
Steve?
what's the address?
Right.
What's the address?
Okay.
Oh, the
Someone have an AOL? Did
Emails
someone
at
sign
AOL?
up with an AOL?
an AOL
Address.
email address?
Sorry. Maybe. Just double check. Is that
I'm not going to be cut off, okay? Which happened with the last mayor, and I put him in his place, okay? Hello? Hello. Okay. I'm not going to go over the past 36 years that I've lived on Ridge Street, okay? Because you all have heard me speak. Most of you have heard me go over it several times at these meetings, okay? So, I'm hoping this is the last time, okay? I will be discussing the last 8 months and a few past issues, okay? When I moved to Rye Brook, there was no Belfair, Red Roof Farm, Hidden Falls. We had a bowling alley. Rye Ridge Tile was underneath. We had a nice little movie theater, okay? I had turkeys, deer, bobcats, and an occasional coyote in my backyard. My kids loved it, okay? It was a quiet, quaint village. I've literally watched Rye Brook grow from my living room window, okay, and driveway on North Ridge Street. The only changes not made over those years is the traffic safety enforcement and other safety issues around the village. I have a question for everybody in this room, okay? Have you ever heard, and I'm not talking about the movies, and I'm sure maybe Chief Dane may have an answer. How many of you have actually heard somebody screaming to death from being burned? Okay? When I was 15 years old, I was in boarding school. Our building, the building I lived in, caught on fire because of a faulty electric heater. I lost 2 friends, okay? I was the second to last person out because I dove through a first floor window, okay? That was 15 years old. I'm 64. I still wake up hearing them screaming to death, okay? Has anybody ever heard that? No. It's horrible, okay? I was 15 years old, okay? One friend died. He was on the second floor. He had no egress, and he was too afraid to jump out the second floor window, okay? This was at school, mind you, okay? In December, now I'm not sure how many of you know this, but my son is disabled. Many of you do, okay? He takes paratransit now. In December, there was a false alarm at the school, okay? I'm walking my son down the driveway. Right on the curves there, and I've mentioned this about, for 36 years, we've been trying to control this traffic, and nothing. You people have done nothing to protect our safety or our kids. These are our kids, okay? Police car, fire engine come up Ridge Street, full horns and sirens, okay? Because people are speeding down southbound, okay? Not being respectful, not adhering to the speed limit. The fire truck and the police officer could not get by the paratransit, okay? They had to wait for all the cars to back up so the police car and the fire truck could get through. This was a false alarm at the school, which I didn't find out for a couple hours later. And the PTSD started to kick in, okay? A little bit. 2 weeks later, and I said to myself, oh, I have to talk to the senator, because getting lights on a paratransit is a county thing, okay? I understand that. But I have asked plenty of times to address certain issues, okay? It didn't occur to me until 2 weeks later when my son had physical therapy and it was about pickup time. Fire truck comes screaming down, lights and everything. I said, all right, I let him go. But remembering what I saw the first time, I turn on the Ridge Street, I get down there to the hutch. I was stopped before the bridge, okay? And that fire truck was going full speed up to, I don't know if it was, I don't know what the emergency was, okay? You know where that fire truck was? At the teacher's parking lot. And he couldn't get through, okay? Now, if that was a working fire at the firehouse, okay? I mean, at the school, okay? You have parents parked there. Nobody could get through. You're gonna have people, and this is reality. You're gonna have people panicking, driving over sidewalks, onto people's yard. You have teachers, people, parents, children coming out, getting on buses or getting off buses, okay? People driving like maniacs, panicking. Me, I would jump out and try and save my kid if the fire, okay? It's bad enough the school was open without the egress in many, many years ago. I won't forget that. And there should be accountability for that, as far as I'm concerned. You put our teachers and our students in danger, okay? I have no skin in the game here. My kids are gone, okay? I'm worried about my neighbors. I'm worried about the children, okay? Is there a price? Can you put a price on a kid? Anyway, so I just want to go over that. And then 2 weeks after that, an ambulance couldn't get by. I don't know where they were. Response time is the most important. You need to address these issues on these main roads. I'm talking everywhere. But right now, Ridge Street needs to be addressed, okay? These are temporary solutions. You don't actually think it's going to be done overnight. I mean, look, this is a great idea for now, okay? But it needs to change, Okay, I'm from a long line of first responders. Okay, I wanted to be a fireman, but because of health issues, I couldn't. All right, I lost a cousin on 9/11. He was FDNY. I lost a brother-in-law to 9/11 illnesses. He was NYPD. Okay, I'm doing my part with Senator Mayer on the paratransits. All right, with fixed routes, such as my son. My son goes to a program. It's not the regular paratransit that drives around and picks up people. This is a set route that covers Rye Brook, Rye, Purchase, I believe, and Portchester. Okay? In the back of those buses, the paratransits, there's people in wheelchairs, possibly on oxygen. Okay? Hang on one second, I'm not done.
Hey, is Ridge Street still County Road?
That section is us.
A lot of you have seen these, okay?
That's a section of
This was right in front of my house a few years ago.
Mr. Grossman, I would ask that you return to the podium and just address us.
Why?
Thank
This is a
you.
public meeting for the village.
For the
Okay.
village board, yes.
Have you shown the residents this? Do they know about this accident in front of my house, that my neighbor's mother had to go to the hospital? That a car came speeding around the turn, okay? So fast that it spun my neighbor's mother's car around and knocked off the wheel and strut? You know how fast that is? Takes a lot. Here, if somebody wants, they can come up and
Here,
look
you
at these
can-
pictures. You've had these pictures. A lot of you do, and the traffic commission did. I don't know if you threw them away. I don't know if you care, okay? If you would like to see these pictures.
Here, submit them up here, and then people can see them
You know what?
afterwards.
I've submitted them, and you have done nothing, okay? So, I'm sorry. All right? Now, if a bus is hit like that speed, with oxygen in the back, what's gonna happen, Mr. Bradbury? It's gonna blow up, possibly, okay? I'm gonna move on now. Why would you approve a project knowing that 3 to 5 kids were projected to go to the Ridge Street School, okay? The project on Ridge Street around the corner from me, okay? They're not eligible for busing, okay? How do you not demand a crosswalk for them so they can cross the street and walk or ride their bicycles to the school, okay? How do you approve a project like that, okay? It's unbelievable. At a meeting, it was brought up about the residents having parties and friends and family parking on the side streets and crossing Ridge Street, and nothing was done. How do you not? Okay, what happened there? Okay? And I'm also not interested in your traffic studies, because traffic studies only put data out there. You need somebody on these roads actually sitting there, videotaping and watching the traffic, because the studies don't show the actual people driving, passing paratransits, driving 50 miles per hour, okay? It's pretty bad, okay? For those who do live in the project, I don't know if they're here, okay? None of us were against. The only reason we were against that project was the safety. And we mentioned that. We all stood, we stood up here and you still ignored it. Okay? That was the only issue we had with that development or anything that was going there. You didn't address it. Okay? There needs to be a crosswalk there. That will slow traffic down with lights coming southbound. Okay? There needs to be a crosswalk at Bobby Lane on the other side coming north. Okay? That will slow the traffic going that way, coming north. All right? I'm trying to keep this short, folks. I'm sorry. But this is, to me, a serious matter. Our kids, your kids' lives, as far as I'm concerned, nothing may happen. I probably never will. But is it worth the risk? Okay? So, anyway, Bobby Lane, okay? Now, I pay taxes. Everybody on Ridge Street pays taxes. Lincoln and King. We're not entitled to have a safe walk to the parks and the side roads that we pay for? That's outrageous. We're not asking for much. I've even given you solutions that would save the village money, but you want to have a survey. Well, we discussed that, so I'll see you at the end of the month in my driveway, okay? Our goal is to clean up Ridge Street, make it presentable, okay, and slow it down and make it safe, especially for our kids. Okay? There should be no building in this village until sidewalks and the safety of our residents is taken care of. Because all you do is build, 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 and you never address the traffic issue. The school, with that addition, should have been number one, was the traffic issue. Okay? Before anything, you knew there was a problem there. Why didn't they address it? Okay? It's whatever. Now, for my NIMBY residents, friends, on our main streets, our residents on the main streets are entitled to a safe street as much as you are. You would not like us driving through your roads the same way as some of you drive Ridge Street, Lincoln, and King. And I know, because I see you, okay? And I know some of you. I've even had to call old neighbors who moved within the village to yell at them, who lived there, who drove around the corner, okay? My son and I were almost run over walking the dog by a resident blowing a Ridge Street stop sign, okay? I know the car, I know the plate number, I know the person, I know where, I think he actually lives on Country Ridge Road, okay? Didn't look, didn't anything, okay? Now this solution is a possible temporary solution and can be modified until permanent solutions can be instituted. Our Main Street kids and residents deserve the same as you. I'd suggest driving around Lower Westchester to see how others are addressing these issues. Post Road, which is that's more than Little Rye Brook, okay? Down by Rye High School, they did a beautiful job there. The Post Road, nobody can go to the county or anything to say, hey, we need some funds. We need to slow this down. What are you guys doing? Okay? I think it's a classy look. I think it would actually improve our village. And if people are cleaning up Ridge Street, I'm painting my house, my neighbor across the street's rebuilding his wall. Okay, people are doing plantings. This is our main road. Let's be proud, let's take pride in it. I mean, come on, all right? So down in Eastchester, okay, that's where my son went. He was out of district, okay? They did a huge addition on their high school, middle school. Similar situation as us, except 22 is a 4-lane road. But the back of it, like ours, is all residential. They have parking issues, okay? They address their traffic issues. When I went to pick them up, it ran smooth. The police were in the road, okay? You had school employees and teachers directing, the maintenance people driving around in golf carts, making sure everything ran smooth, okay? Go check it out, people. These things can be fixed, okay? The slight time inconvenience to drop off and pick up should not be an issue, especially when it comes to the safety and risk to our kids, all right? I know this meeting is about the school situation, but it's all connected. I'm doing my part. Joe is doing his part, okay? Thank you, Joe, okay? It's time for the board, administrators, and residents get together, address these issues, solve them before somebody really gets hurt or killed. I grew up in Mamaroneck. Over there, it was always a problem on Mamaroneck Avenue, okay? Nobody addressed it. It took a mother and a son to get hit by a bus, okay? And man, they got that all fixed within the summer before the school opened, okay? But it took someone to die, Okay? That's terrible. Is that what we want here in Rye Brook? I think we need to be preventative. We need to stop stuff like this from happening. Like I said, it may never happen at the school, okay? So, I want to thank Joe Larongo and those who are here to support these changes. I also want to, and I hope we're being recorded. We're being recorded?
Yes.
Good, good. I also want to thank the road crews, okay? They work hard. They work hard. I've done some of their jobs. That's what I do, or was. I'm pretty banged up now from years of construction. That's why I'm semi-retired now. That's why I watch Ridge Street, and I know what's going on, and you're not going to get over on me, okay? 36 years, okay? For you new residents, pay attention, question everything, okay? Remember, the road crews aren't the problem. Well, maybe driving too fast, okay, on occasions. But remember, they take orders. They do as you're told. They're good guys. Go out there, say hi, bring them water on a hot day, buy them lunch, and show your appreciation. I do, and I have. Chief Dangler, my buddy. Okay? We have a long history together, don't we? Okay. How about straightening out your officers like you did my daughter, who's thriving down in North Carolina with 4 beautiful grandkids of mine? Okay? There's no excuse for a patrol car to pass a double yellow line unless it's an emergency. I'm not interested in excuses like it's an emergency and you don't need lights or sirens. A tap on the horn and lights on until you pass and turn them back off to head to a silent required call. If the officer is sitting behind the paratransit for a minute, obviously there's no emergency. Then they pass the paratransit with cars behind them, and it's just like watching a mother goose with her babies following. Okay? Basically saying it's okay to break the law. Okay? I've mentioned this to the chief at headquarters in front of his officers. Have asked officers when I see them in public, okay, to not do it, and to actually pull people over when they do cross the yellow line because it is illegal. Okay? I almost consider it, don't take this personally, I almost consider it discrimination against the disabled. Okay? That is a paratransit bus with people with disabilities. Okay? I'm not sure how many of you are aware of it. Okay, my son is 28. I've been in the disability world all my life because my sister was disabled. Okay? I also don't know if you know this, but Westchester has a special needs hockey club, which we started with a grant by the Rangers in '96. For 22 years I've been coaching them, 6 as head coach, and I was just given an award by the New York Rangers for the work I do with them. Okay? So I'm not sitting up here just talking. Okay? I've been part of this community, the disability community, for years, and I will always advocate for them and any of our kids in our community. Okay? Here's another thing. How many of you know that we have a police motorcycle? Yeah, did you know that? Okay. Right? How about putting that into service and patrolling our streets, the main streets? He can hide, he can do whatever. He's not there just for funerals, okay? Or, parades, all right? Yeah, it's not a Harley Davidson, okay? But it's still a motorcycle and it's still a police bike. And you could do a lot with that. We can't put that into service, okay? I could go on and on, but I'm not.
Well, Mr.
In
Grossman, I would
closing-
ask that.
In closing.
Yep.
You're not gonna shut me down, bro, okay? I put up with this board in this village.
I'm just asking you to
I am.
be
Okay.
respectful of other people's time and stick
I
to
am,
the
but
topic
you
at
don't think
hand.
this is serious enough? You don't think the kids' lives, huh? Why don't you go and listen to somebody burn to death? Okay? Why don't you do that? I was here for the whole fire house thing, okay? The only thing I approve of in this village was the fact that I had to put a whole sprinkler system in my house, okay? So I could sleep at night. Cost me a lot of money, okay? But I sleep at night. I don't know if you know this, but we've actually lost a few houses in Rybrook. One right next to the school, right? You know this. These are all facts, okay? Anyway, in closing, I'd like to, like I said, I'm done with these meetings, calls, and emails. I want progress for the future younger residents and their kids to be safe. Remember, you're elected officials. You represent us. To me, that means researching grants, talking and listening to what we want, okay? Employees who don't live here or pay taxes should not have a say, as far as I'm concerned. They can advise, but they don't make the decisions, okay? It's the residents and you elected officials, okay? Our safety should always be number one, especially when it comes to the safety of our kids. No expense should be spared. You can't put a price on a life, especially a child. So, that's what I have to say, okay? I look forward to meeting with you at the end of the month, and I hope you listen to this, and I hope the people who are against this, for now, have opened their eyes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Grossman. And certainly, we've been listening up here. I think, towards the beginning, you told a story of the emergency vehicles trying to get through and not being able to. And that's certainly one of the reasons why we're here today, looking at this. Oh, thank you. All right, Mr. Larunga.
No, hello.
Yeah, here, Greg.
Hi, how are you?
All right.
Joe Laronga, 126 North Ridge Street. I'm also on the Traffic Commission, so I know a little bit more about this, I think. And we've been discussing this. And so I'm going to read as fast as humanly possible.
Okay, thank you.
Last year, I met with Dr. Alm and Principal Taylor about the traffic situation at Pickup, and spoke about a few ideas. This no left turn is not one of them. My idea was to have a police officer positioned on North Ridge by the parking lot entrance, directing cars to loop around the block and enter the school when their car fits into the parking lot. The goal is to have no traffic buildup on North Ridge in either direction. With a police officer there, no one can just sit there or they will get a ticket. This solution will create a new problem: speeding on the surrounding streets, Sleepy Hollow, Dorchester, Rocking Horse. How do we fix this problem? Speed bumps. The 2 speed bumps on Hawthorne have shown us that the 85th percentile data from the speed sign on Hawthorne is 24 miles per hour in a 30 mile per hour zone, meaning 85% of the people are doing 24 miles or less. Speed bumps would control the speed of the vehicles rushing to pick up their children. This officer would need to be present 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon. We have plenty of police to help out with this. Simple, effective, and cost effective. We are supposed to get a dedicated traffic unit that's already in this year's budget. That officer can be present every day at drop-off and pickup, giving out tickets. When the Traffic Commission asked Sergeant Krajewski to put up the covert radar unit last year at the school, the data showed the 85th percentile was 32 miles per hour. That's in a 15 mile per hour zone. We would expect to see the 85th percentile around 20 to 22 miles, but no, it's 32. This is a serious speeding issue. This data tells us almost no one is driving at 15 miles an hour, which is the posted speed limit. I can also tell you from the data we received from Sergeant Krajewski, the Rybrook Police Department gives out about 3 to 5 tickets a month in the school zone, and the data shows 2,000 plus cars a day are speeding at the school zone. So we need to up our speeding tickets. Now onto this proposed law about no left turns into parking lots. How are we going to tell people to make a left turn onto Rocking Horse to loop around to Sleepy Hollow and make a right onto North Ridge so they can make a right into the parking lot? According to the MUTCD, you'll need a sign 300 feet away and then another one at 50 to 100 feet away to alert parents to loop around the block. So that's going to be more signs along the way as you head north. If no signs or an officer directing at Rocking Horse, then will you have an officer at the driveway making sure no one makes a left turn? I wrote this before you guys put up about the cones being there. So, sorry. And directing them to go to the hutch near King Street. Enter the hutch, get off the hutch at Northridge, and make a right onto Northridge, an immediate left onto Rocking Horse, and circle the blocks so they end up on Northridge, going southbound and making a right into the parking lots. If not, all the other ways are illegal. People will make a U-turn at the corner of Sleepy Hollow and Northridge. Illegal. Or they will pull into someone's driveway and make a three-point turn. Illegal. Both causing more traffic or an accident on Northridge. The other option is also illegal. Make a left turn onto Sleepy Hollow and then make a U-turn on Sleepy Hollow. Or at the intersection of Sleepy Hollow and Law Ridge Drive where the crossing guard is for that walkway out of the school. So lots of things going on. You'll need no U-turn signs on Northridge and on Sleepy Hollow. I have met with members of the Rybrook Fire Department. The driver of the truck said this no left turn will create a longer line on the southbound side of the street, starting at or even going further than Sleepy Hollow. People that aren't involved in picking up a child will cross over the double yellow line like they currently do already. Speed past the line of cars where they see it when they see it's clear, if they can see over the hill. Or maybe they will just meet northbound cars head on. If the fire truck needs to get around a long line of cars by using the northbound lane, they will meet cars head on. I don't know about you, but I don't want to meet a fire truck head on. Will you have a police officer at the driveway holding cars up if the emergency comes from over the radio? Like, was that a thought? Like, you're going to have a long line of cars, and then if a fire truck is coming down, heading south, and he's going to come over, are we going to have somebody standing over here with a radio knowing that an emergency situation's happening to hold cars up like they do in Manhattan? Because that's what they do in Manhattan. They get radio calls. Like, any idea? Answer?
Why don't you continue with your speech?
So, also, will you have an officer in the middle of that line making someone that crosses the double yellow line pull into a resident's driveway and give them a ticket for crossing a double yellow line, and I'm sure going faster than 15 miles an hour? You see, this idea is horrible. It creates many more issues. The fireman that I spoke to had the best solution. The driveway on Rocking Horse that is used for an emergency vehicle to gain access to the back of the school, make that an exit for the pickup line. The basketball court is currently used for pickup of bus students. That's where I pick up my daughter on certain days. Let's make that the pickup point for non-bus students. So the drive-through looks like this. Make a left or a right into the north parking lot, right? Drive down to the basketball court and wait. Then build a road down the hill to the baseball field. The road goes behind home plate, leading to the exit driveway on Rocking Horse. Cars can even snake the lanes of the big parking lot so they can fit more cars in so they don't have to wait on Northridge. Now, where do we pick up bus students that need to get picked up by parents? Where non-bus students currently get picked up. A lot less cars, and they follow the same process. Park, get out of the car, and wait. Not line up in cars. We need to have zero buildup on Northridge so people not picking up can drive through and not have to wait or cross the double yellow line. We need zero buildup on Northridge so emergency vehicles can drive without hesitation. The only way to do this is with my idea of having an officer outside the lot directing cars to loop the blocks and enter where there is space for the car, and with speed bumps on those surrounding blocks to keep people driving under 20 miles an hour. For a few weeks, we're going to need a few more officers helping out, but once things calm down, I think just one officer at the driveway will work. The last idea is to use the buses we have. Every student we put on a bus is one less car at drop-off and pickup. I'm not saying more buses, but I know for a fact the buses aren't filled to 40-person capacity. My daughter rides on bus 1. She is the last stop before going to the school. Only half the bus is filled. That bus can pick up many more students that live closer to the school as it drives down North Ridge to the school. How many students are currently NBS? How many of those students have a bus past their house that is coming from a further street but past their house on the way to school? All those students should be on a bus. I'm not saying we go out of the way to pick up more students. I'm saying the students that live where a bus passes their house should be picked up. For example, my friend lives at 270 North Ridge Street. Bus 1 and Bus 5 and probably another 1 or 2 buses pass their house every morning and every afternoon. Yet they aren't eligible for the bus. They get driven to school. Pick up that child with Bus 1 or Bus 5, and now it's one less car in the car line. Figure this out. I bet you can lessen the car line by 25 cars within an hour of research. We have 22 days till September 2nd to start a school. Let's try to figure this out and get Northridge free-flowing and so no cars are backed up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larunga. Next, I have Julie Lesham. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing a name.
Yeah, you did it perfectly.
Okay,
Hi,
thank you.
Julie Lesham, 7 Sleepy Hollow Road. As has been mentioned over and over, Sleepy Hollow gets a brunt of this already. And my first question was going to be, in this study that was done, did anyone ever physically come to Sleepy Hollow Road and see what is already happening at pickup, mostly at pickup?
We came over on pickup to watch the area on pickup.
I mean, it's pretty bad, and I don't know who mentioned, maybe it was Joe or Steve, I don't know. But the U-turns that are happening, mostly in my driveway, I have no problem people pulling into my driveway, but it happens while kids are trying to walk from school. There's cars parked everywhere, and parents don't want to go to Ridge Street because I guess it's apparently crowded already. So they make U-turns. The kids are coming up. I mean, sometimes I'm like horrified looking from my kitchen window, seeing what's going on out there, worrying that someone's going to make a bad move. I totally echo Steve Handler's comments earlier, where I think you're taking a problem and just pushing it off Ridge Street and pushing it onto the other streets. And bottom line, I think it's going to be a hazard for the kids, no matter where you go, what you do. I think getting the cars off Ridge Street is a great idea, but I think you need to get them onto the school and get more space for people to pick up their kids. And this has been a ongoing argument, but get more kids on those buses. We know the buses are pretty empty, and more kids should be able to be on the buses. That's your best solution. Get the parents off the streets. But I think that one of the solutions that you're suggesting is just going to cause major congestion on Sleepy Hollow, Country Ridge, and even Fairlawn, because people are going to find ways to, get around. Everybody knows how to get around. Plus, you've got the Montessori school, that can't make a left turn. So they pull into the streets, come around Sleepy Hollow so they can go back North Ridge Street so they can make a right into the school. So I think it's a big problem, and I hope that you'll come up with a better solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Jessica Sprague.
Hi, I'm Jessica Sprague. I live at 247 North Ridge Street. I've lived there for 4.5 years, and thank you for your time. So I deal with pickup and drop off every single day. I have 3 young kids. This is very, very relevant to our family. What has not been brought up that I'm very curious about are other solutions that you guys are talking about that are more long-term. Every year there's budget conversations, and I think this is very top of mind that people would definitely be for. And so I would be curious to hear those at another point or today. That would be really helpful to know what's top of mind for future planning. I do feel like the traffic change is putting a Band-Aid on a larger issue from what I've observed. Like I said, I have 3 young kids. One will be in kindergarten, one's in 1st grade, and then we actually have one at the daycare across the street. So when I say I'm on Northridge all day, I'm on Northridge all day. We are not bus eligible, and I wish we were, because it would solve a lot of our concerns and issues. We are on the opposite side of the street of the school, and we have no crosswalk. So we have no way to walk to school. There's no safe place to cross the street to walk to school. And I don't even feel safe backing out of the street, honestly, during pickup and drop off, let alone walking my 2 young kids to the school. My concern is that there have not been any safety measures put in place on Northridge, including, but not limited to, more crosswalks, cross guards, and police presence. I see them at the school, but when you're asking kids to walk from farther distances, there's nothing past the hutch entrance. The traffic has continued to get worse, and I'm concerned about the future of raising a family in a village not taking proactive measures for our young kids getting to school. I work from home, and I look across Northridge Street all day. People are going insane speeds on a 30-mile-per-hour road, and I don't see traffic control. I'm right next to Bobby, so for reference, and across from Berkeley. So, and I like to walk. There's no way to cross to get between those streets. I think that these meetings in particular are hard for young families to get to, so I don't really feel like we're being adequately represented in these conversations. To be honest, none of my friends with young kids even knew that this was happening tonight or know that this change is coming forward. The village needs to be thinking about 5, 10, 15 years in advance to keep the children safe. So I've two asks to help with this solution. I think my first ask is that we provide more crosswalks. I think that is key to slowing traffic down and to providing more opportunities for children to walk to school. Secondly, please, please, please expand bus service, because we have multiple buses driving past us every day, and I would happily send my kids on the bus every day. And we are at the cusp of not being able, or getting bus, and so I know so many children, to what other people said, who don't get bus service that would like to have it, and I think it's a lost opportunity of both traffic control and cost. So, thank you. Those are my points, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who did not sign up that would like to speak? Yes, please.
Hey, my name is Ben Shear. I live at 4 Concord Place. I'm lucky enough that my kids are on the bus, but a bunch of my friends didn't know about the meeting or are away, so I'm here to give a couple of their points that they had with what was just said by Joe and by Jessica. I was going to find it in my text. 1 second.
Quite all right.
So one of the concerns that was already brought up was about cars going south on Ridge Street, that once it backs up all the way to Sleepy Hollow and to Fairlawn, you're going to have cars going southbound in the northbound lanes to try to get around all that traffic. And there's going to be a head-on collision from that. I see it happening. Also, if everyone's making a left turn onto Rocking Horse, then all the cars making the right out of the school are going to be blocking those cars from being able to make the left onto Rocking Horse for them to go around. So that's going to then back up the Hutch. People coming off the Hutch and getting onto the Hutch, they're going to be backed up, and that's going to back up the Hutch, Ridge Street, and the school streets. So that's also going to impact all the cars making the right turns out of the school. They're going to not be able to make right turns, or somebody's not going to be able to make left turns. It's just going to create a whole traffic mess. And they already made the point about if a fire truck is coming southbound too. Those are the points that a lot of the people that couldn't make it tonight have said, and that's, I think, goes along with the last two speakers. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who, yes, please.
My name's Deirdre Cesare. I live at 4 Sleepy Hollow Road, and so Julie already represented our area. I just wanted to add that if you do decide to move forward with this change, you would have to take away all of the parking on Sleepy Hollow Road. That happens right now in the afternoon. Is that something you've considered? Because you won't be able to let anybody get through. Has that been looked at? Because I know you mentioned.
Yeah, that hasn't been recommended yet, but that's something we're aware of.
And I would, so
That's a
I'm
concern.
also non-bus, right, for my 2 kids, and I would most definitely send my kid, who is my older, who is in the middle school, on the bus if I could, because it's not safe for him to walk from Sleepy Hollow Road to the middle school currently. So I just wanted to mention that too.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who did not sign up to speak that would like to? All right, this time then I'm gonna open this up to some board comments. Before I get to the board comments, there are a couple of things that I just want to say. First off, for anyone who didn't know about this issue in this meeting, I would say please sign up for our newsletter or our emails. I think I had sent out notice about this 2 weeks ago in an email. It's available right on our website.
RybrookNY.gov/alerts, or if you just go to look up alerts, you'll get notice.
So I'd say that. And the other thing I would say is that, I think what we're looking for here is, again, a solution to a problem that existed. That if we do nothing tonight, we know that this is our last meeting of August. In August we typically only have one meeting. It's not today, we couldn't have a special meeting, but any public hearing would have to be noticed. And that takes time. And if we don't act on anything tonight, that means that when the school opens at the beginning of September, we probably go right back to the conditions that we saw at the end of last year. And for me, just personally, having been out there quite a few times, I don't see that as an acceptable option. There were a lot of other solutions that are proposed. Certainly something that we're going to be in touch with the school about. A lot of these things aren't under our control. Certainly where buses are allowed to pick people up. That's not something that the village has any control over. What happened during the construction process, something that the village has no oversight of. That goes to the state. But you should know that there are representatives of the school here tonight, and they're listening, and they've heard what you said, and I'm sure are taking this back to talk to their board about, because I think we all have the same goal in mind, which is the safety of everyone around here. The kids, the residents, and even people just driving through the village of Rybrook. And so for me, my personal opinion, and again, I'm going to open this up to comments from the board, but my personal opinion is that this is worth a shot. That there will be some other issues created from this. Can we work on Sleepy Hollow to look at the signage? Absolutely. We did it in the past, not within the last year or two, I believe. There were no parking signs put in certain areas on Sleepy Hollow. Can we? Right. So can we look at this? Absolutely. Can we? I'd like to speak, please. Thank you. Can we look at these? Can we continue to work with the school to look at other options? Absolutely. From a personal standpoint, I am in bus service area. I'm very lucky about that. My kids have ridden the bus from day one. They ride the bus every day. My about-to-be junior still rides the bus every day because that's what I believed in. I wanted to get cars off the street. I'm also an environmentalist. It's more efficient this way, in my opinion. So I think there are lots of other opportunities. And it's not to say that this doesn't change a month or two after the school opens once other options are explored. But the fact of the matter is that if we don't do something tonight, then we go right back to those other conditions. And that's what I personally am looking to change. So I want to open this up to comments from the board. Certainly, and then there will be other opportunities as well. So, Trustee Heiser, please start us off.
Just on one very finite topic, which is people not knowing about this meeting. I'd like to thank Joe Laronga, because he has been putting on Facebook and Rybrook residents for quite some time now, come to this meeting. And if people don't pay attention to what we post and what Joe posts and stuff, I can't help them. Yeah, and so there has been several sources of notice about this meeting. I think people sometimes, I'm not going to accuse any specific individuals, but sometimes people just stick their head in the sand and pretend, oh gee, somebody else will go, somebody else will speak on my behalf. So Joe, I thank you. Dr. Alm, I thank you. There really was no reason why people didn't know about this meeting.
And I would also thank all of you for showing up tonight. All right. Trustee
Okay,
Epstein.
thank you. Okay, for those of you, I'm Susan Epstein. I've been a trustee for over 12 years, and I've lived in this community for well over 30. We do have an issue with communication. There are notices put out by the school. There are notices put out by the village. We are attempting to get better ways to do that. That is moving forward. But that's not to say that there has not been notice with regard to this. That being said, I disagree vehemently with this plan. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's just going to reroute traffic. That's personally my point of view, and not only because I live right there, but because I live and I see how many cars are always on these streets and how it's going to impact not just the residents of the area, but everybody traveling on Ridge Street all times of the day. More importantly, I do believe that the school can have a better impact by increasing the amount of kids that are permitted to be on the bus. We never got the bus because we were in, we didn't want the bus in elementary school. It's ridiculous. But my point is, it's not safe for some of these people that are within just a little bit of the area for not getting the bus to get the bus. Perhaps that's a great solution, especially those on Ridge Street. It would take cars off the road and free up a lot of space for those that never get the bus, and safer for the students that do need to walk to school. So by having them go on Rocking Horse Trail, there is such a blind spot there in the morning. It is incredibly dangerous. I don't know if you have tried that. When you go down that street in the morning, the sun is right there, and somebody's going to get hit if you put all those cars down that road, because that's where the kids walk up from that whole area. So I'd like you to try that before you start this, personally. Next is, kids are not taking the bus. This has always been a problem. My daughter was in one of the largest years of the school system, 150 kids. There has always been traffic. And I think that when they settled it for her year, what they did was they provided placards to those that do not get the bus, so that way they are able to pick up their child on a reasonable basis. And those that are not taking the bus, they are creating the issue. Those parents that drive their kids to school that already get the bus, that is why the roads are clogged, in my opinion. I did not complete a census. I actually was going to ask for one to be complete on how full the buses are, but they are not full. It is a waste of taxpayer money to be busing all of these children when they're not using the bus. The parents are at fault for allowing their kids not to take the bus. It's really should not be permissible, in my opinion. I understand, Joe, you have a child that gets the bus. You even admitted sometimes you pick her up. You know what? Let her take the bus home. It would free up space on Ridge Street.
I know, but I pick her up because she has to be somewhere.
Well, then,
I understand that we all have that issue. Then you know what? Have her walk part of the distance and pick her up where it's less busy. It's not fair to all of the residents that are paying for the bus service for it to go empty. It's,
okay, hold on. Can you please?
so would you like me to wrap? Okay,
Yeah,
so sorry.
Or no, more just address instead of a
Okay,
back-
we want to
I'm not looking for a
eliminate the
back and forth.
hazard of the cars lining up on the streets. Why are they showing up 45 minutes in advance to pick up their kids? That seems to be usurious to me. And I really don't know how to solve that issue, other than to say, if you don't have a placard, you cannot be on Ridge Street to pick up your kid. I think part of the issue was that when they redesigned the school, they have the two parking lots, so people feel that, oh, I can pick up my kid now. It's easier to get in and out. And I think that has been what changed. Again, my daughter was 150 kids in the school system, the biggest year, and they were able to settle it. So I don't see what has changed other than people not taking the bus. To encourage people to take the bus, I think, to me, is the way to settle this. How do we do that? That is not for me to find the reason, other than to say, you can't pick up your kid if you get the bus. That's it. Try that. You can't pick up your kid. I'm sorry. I just feel that I know that a lot of the Belfair residents make their kids take the bus because it's so onerous for those parents to go down King Street because of the traffic. Maybe the other, I don't think it's safe for all of those cars on the road. I really think that we should find an alternate way to settle this. I think it's just going to be chaos in those other streets. I think that it's very dangerous on Rocking Horse Trail in the morning especially. It is a blind spot where the sun literally goes down that street.
Okay. In a little bit. I'd like to hear from the other trustees first. All right, Trustee Crum.
Yeah, I'm Donald Crowley. I've been a trustee for a year and a half, and I was on the planning board for 3 years before that. I think many of you know we have actually 3 school districts in our village, but two main ones. I've been on a task force with the Portchester schools for over a year and attended probably more than a dozen meetings. It's a joint task force between people from the Portchester School Board and the Portchester School Administration and the Rybrook Administration and Rybrook trustees to study the traffic problem around the Portchester Middle School, which is in Rybrook, and the Portchester High School, which is also within Rybrook. They have tremendous traffic. Many of you probably know there's tremendous traffic problems there, and it was a long. After many years, it was decided that both the school district and the village would support a joint study. Traffic professionals were hired, but what I want to say is it's time-consuming. Not necessarily cheap, but I will say to some of the comments, it's been thorough. They had drones flying over. They had cameras mounted on poles, which were very, as people know from their doorbell cameras, very accurate at counting people, vehicles, etc. So a very in-depth study was done by professionals, and what I discovered, I'm a civil engineer by training, but what I discovered is a lot of the solutions are not intuitive. And as people talked about here, a lot of solutions that you think are going to work just can move the problem, exacerbate the problem elsewhere, and getting to the root cause can be tricky. All that said, I do support this proposal as a short-term solution with a couple caveats. One is I think there's been a commitment by both the school district and the village. If it makes the problem worse overall, they're going to change it back. But I also would encourage both the village staff and the school district to work on other solutions. They are probably going to be more expensive, and I probably shouldn't jump ahead to the Portchester study that's wrapping up. But let me just say the solutions were not simple and they're not cheap. They were expensive. They are going to be expensive, and they're going to take a long time to implement. People talked about crosswalks. Crosswalks are not inexpensive. I'm not saying they shouldn't be done, and I do support them. There was proposals for speed bumps. You don't just, as people know, you don't just put speed bumps willy-nilly. They have to be engineered, et cetera. And I should probably wrap this up, but I do think there's a crosswalk being installed on Ridge Street, right?
At Crawford.
At Crawford Park,
Next
but
week.
it's
Yeah.
on Ridge Street. That's going in. Again, that was long studied, engineered. It's not inexpensive, and I think it's a great addition. I would support more crosswalks being and more traffic calming things on Ridge Street. I do hear the issues about people going too fast, and even if it's only 15 or 20%, it can cause problems. But these are all things that take time, money, study, and I do support in the short term trying something that. And the reason I support trying is it's not something permanent. It can be reversed very quickly if it doesn't help the problem. And like I said, the solutions that I can see are going to be take quite a while to implement. So that's my thought.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Morlino?
That's always at the end. I get everybody's got all the ideas, and I get to say nothing.
You could have jumped in
That's
earlier.
right. That's okay. I'm on the same committee as Don with the school. That was a $30,000 study, and yes, I guess it was expensive. And that study was kind of interesting. It kind of showed where most of the queuing of the traffic was on the school property. 80% of the work, I think, or
75% of the work was on the school property, from what I understood, and very little or not as much outside on the streets. And as someone brought up, why they didn't do that study in the school, I don't know. But I do agree with the fact that most of this traffic should be solved on the school property. And as Susan said about the buses, it is true. It's a shame that the children don't take the buses. And I think Rye Brook's distance is 1.9.
3/4 of a mile for elementary.
At 3/4 of a mile elementary. Maybe they should make it a shorter distance. Maybe they'll get more kids to take the bus, and that may work. Maybe that's a better alternative than this no left-hand turns. I'm not up in this area often during school time, so I don't know what the traffic is like. I didn't have a chance to stand there last fall and look at it, or spring, so I'm kind of on the fence about the project and whether it's going to work or not. But it's a very inexpensive proposition to put no left-hand turn signs, I think, and we can reverse it kind of quickly, I believe. So, yeah, it's but it's not too expensive. I mean, it's like a for now thing, unfortunately. As my wife would say, oh yeah, you do that and you say it's for now, and it stays there for 4 years. I never get it done.
Correct.
I never finish the project. So I can understand where you're coming from with the
I have a
signs.
feeling we'll finish this project.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, you'll keep the left-hand signs and you won't do anything else, and it becomes a problem. That's what I'm getting at. So that's my spiel on that.
Mr. Handler, you had something else you want to, please wait. Yeah, come up here first.
A couple of very quick comments. One, and I think a couple of the trustees have said this without actually saying it, the school created a problem or didn't solve a problem that they could have, and now it's become the village's responsibility to fix this. And a number of you have mentioned certain things that the school should be doing and needs to be doing to resolve this. Secondly, when you say, oh, we'll just institute it and then we'll see, and if it solves the problem, chances are it will solve the immediate problem, meaning you will find less traffic on Ridge Street. Yes, it will probably solve that problem. But what's going to happen now is you create other problems where you say, oh, the measurement of the success of this was that it solved the problem on Ridge Street. Boom, we've done it. Yay, aren't we great? And so the problem is no one is going to figure out or discuss what all the other problems are that it has created. And that's where I think there's a problem, that there's not a holistic solution that fixes one problem without causing others.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I had just said to the group over here, I'll come to
Yeah, wait till you get up.
What I just was saying to everybody also was, the first few weeks of school, it's probably going to work fairly well when the weather's nice and everyone's walking to school. But then you're going to start looking at this in November and December on a cold, snowy day when no one's walking to school and everyone is driving to school. Every non-bus student is going to be driving to school those days, but in September, they're all going to be walking. So it's going to look good at first, and then it's going to, all of a sudden, you're going to get to the winter and the weather's bad, and it's going to say, oh, wow, now there's even more cars. What happened? I thought this was working, but it's not.
Thank you. And I can say that, to this point, one of the things that I'm just going to mention, we don't see this, at least personally, I do not see this as an end solution. Okay? That this is something, again, we are in August 11th. School starts in a few weeks. We need time to study this more. With the school, our partner, to work on these solutions the way that we've been working on these solutions with the Portchester School District as well. All right, yes, please.
Hi, I'm Debbie Handler with Steve. If that's the case, then I would like to ask for people to be on the board with the superintendent and whoever is with the school who lives in that Country Ridge area, specifically probably Rocking Horse, Sleepy Hollow, because I think we are the two most affected by this. Additionally, it's going to only be as good until, unfortunately, a child gets hit or worse. I live on the corner, right sort of on the corner of Country Ridge and Rocking Horse, one in. My kids have walked since they were 5. We've lived here, all my kids went through the school here. We've lived here 29 years. It's wonderful. It's amazing. It's so nice. I even see it now because I teach in another district, so I leave when I see tons of kids walking in our area, on Ridge Street. There are no sidewalks. There are kids biking to school. It's amazing. Walking. What's going to happen is it's going to look great on Ridge Street, and there is a problem on Ridge Street. Nobody is denying there's not a problem on Ridge Street. But we don't want a horrible, horrible accident to be the time when all of a sudden we say, oh yeah, this wasn't a great plan.
Thank you. Mr. Grossman.
So I have a few ideas, okay? You know, being in construction all my life, and I was talking to Chief Dangler, and I didn't realize he had the same idea as I did, all right? Why can't we take about 4 feet off each side of the road and make an extra lane where cars can go over? You take 4 feet off one side, and you already have the school, and you put an extra lane there, okay? You're only talking 4 feet. You know, if people have a problem, what can I tell you, okay? The other thing is, the teachers have their own private parking, okay? Which is cool. That's okay with me. If you look at the square footage of that parking lot, and you put it in the back, you're not taking much of the ball fields away and stuff like that. I mean, Joe's idea and the fire department idea is great too. And it's all gonna cost money, which it all should have been addressed when they built the addition. So now, as the years go by, it's gonna cost us a lot more to address these issues. When all those years ago, it would have been cheaper to do these projects. If you took the square footage and have the teachers park in the back over there, you can open up the whole front of the school, and you wouldn't even have to cut through the neighborhoods. You come in one way, you go out the other, you get on Ridge Street or the Hutch. You have the room there. Utilize it. Put the teachers in the back. They still get their parking, they just have to walk a little extra to get to the school. Why, you know, I understand everybody with the neighborhood. I mean, you know, they're right. But if we have the space, then we should utilize that space and not inconvenience everybody. This is a good solution for now, and it's gonna probably need to be changed. It's just a Band-Aid. Like she said, you need to think 15 years down, like my neighbor said. You need to think 15 years. What's going on with Arrowwood? Talking about developing that. What about the hotel? Talking about that. You want to just build. At what point are you going to address all that traffic? Look what's going on in Portchester. So maybe those are some ideas to consider. It's already going to cost us more money, so let's get this right. Let's protect our kids and our residents. Okay? I mean, Jessica's a great person. I love those kids. Okay? I don't want anything to happen to them. I mean, these are our kids.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Grossman. Mr. Laronga, you had your hand up.
Jason.
Hello again. Who sets the parameters for bus? Like, is that the village? Is that the school board?
That's the school.
Okay. So why can't we just say half a mile and we pick up more kids? Like,
I think, and hold on. This is a village board meeting on a public hearing for no left turns. That may be a better question at a school board meeting.
okay.
Sorry.
The next thing, the only other thing is I'm thinking is we just need a lot more police presence there. Like, we'll create traffic, we'll send traffic, and people just do because people think they own the roads. Like, and they drive like maniacs. And we just need police presence. And to your point, my daughter's 7, so she can't walk. And when I was in elementary school, I pick her up because she goes to a religion class in Rye, in a Catholic religion, in Rye Resurrection. And something the school could do is let her get out of school early. So then I pick her up at like 2:40 or 2:30. She's only missing 20, 30 minutes of the day, and that doesn't count as an absence or go towards anything. But now I'm alleviating myself from the problem, because that's the way the elementary school where I went used to do it. Was like, all right, if you have a sign from a Catholic school saying you're going to religion class after this, that is something the school board can also allow, is to let people pick up their children 15, 20 minutes early. And when I was there, the thing that I saw the most, because I used to go there at 2:30 and sit in the upper lot and then go get my kid by the basketball, was just how much speeding there's going on. And I would take videos and I would send them to the chief. And there was the mobile unit up that we had with the battery powered that they recently got fixed. And it would flash 32, 33, 34. We're on a 15. Like, I asked the chief once, if I got pulled over in a 65 doing 130, what would you do to me? He said, arrest you. I said, so why aren't we arresting these people doing 30 in a 15? Like, we got to get control of the speed first. And then people revolving around their blocks will actually go 15, 20 miles an hour and realize they can't just rocket through the street and possibly hit somebody. Like, it's just, like, we need our police to just hand out speeding tickets like hotcakes from McDonald's on a Sunday morning back in the 80s. If you know what I'm talking about, if you're old enough.
I do, and I disagree because I don't like the styrofoam containers that those came in. All right, I'm going to allow one or two more comments, and then we're going to talk a little more about a board. Yes, please.
Hi, Julie Lesham again. Sorry, I forgot to mention that we already have a problem on Sleepy Hollow. There have been many, many occasions, I've even called the police a couple of times, where Sleepy Hollow was so congested, we couldn't come into Sleepy Hollow from Ridge Street because parents line up so early. They literally hang out sometimes for 45 minutes, and they do sometimes float on both sides of the street. So there have been many instances where you couldn't pull into the street because there were double cars and then cars coming out of the street. So now you're really exacerbating that situation with this plan. And my other comment is it kind of feels like you're going to do this because you're out of time. Like, is that a really good enough reason to enact this because there's no better solution right this minute? Like, isn't there a way to explore other,
So we are exploring, so I will make this comment. We are exploring other options. We have explored other options with the school. The school, as Chris mentioned at the beginning, village staff met with school staff and board. And this was the solution that was explored first. Is it our last try? No. Are we going to continue studying it? Yes. Are we going to monitor what conditions are like if and when this goes into effect? Yes. This is not the end. Chris?
Sure. I mean, I'll give just kind of an overview of some of the many options. I mean, we reviewed a lot of different options in our meetings with the school district. We've looked at everything we looked at items such as, and many of the things that were talked about today, using the back area of the school for additional, to be able to bring the students to the rear portions of the school. We talked about modifying where the teachers park. We talked about using the 3 different lots, different grades. We looked at that as staggering and moving it in different spots. We talked about drop curbs and queuing lanes. We talked about that along the street. We talked about we talked about a loop road around the school that might be more efficient. Things like that, like a loop road where you can go in the rear of the school and go around, because there is basically a smaller pathway around the school now, but it would require some retaining walls, I think, with the grade change, and it's possible. All of that is possible. We talked about changing the patterns that go over to Sleepy Hollow on terms of who can pick up and who can bring it over. We learned a lot more about where students were, where parents were picking up and how they walk to the back in the park and the basketball courts, and how they walk over and who can go there and who can't go there. Talk about staff at the school also, helping direct people to the right location. So a lot of different options were looked at. And the school, I think, it would acknowledge that, if this is not the final solution, because it's not a perfect solution, let's face it, nobody wants cars queued up on Ridge Street. You don't want cars queued up going south. What we're trying to do is just make it safer than what it is now. Because a lot of those other changes will require a more significant investment, particularly on the school side. So those are things that the school said, if this doesn't work, we're going to have to look at Plan B or Plan C or Plan D. We're going to have to explore that. And whether that's the school doing that, whether that's a joint traffic study that we did with the Portchester schools, those are all things to be reviewed as we go through this. And I think you heard us acknowledge right up front, we know there's going to be some impacts on some of the residents, and we don't take that lightly. We also, though, tried to put, some of it's going to be cooperation of the parents. We try to provide some maps, and they want to provide information to the parents saying, we're hoping they're going to use different routes to the school so that they'll be able to queue up so that they don't have to go through the neighborhoods. They'll be able to drive, and we showed some of those maps in different ways that people can get to the school and not have to do the turnaround in the Country Ridge neighborhoods. Will that happen? We don't know yet. And we have concerns about that as well. So what we kind of show you is it's not over. If the board approves the recommendations, this is something that we're going to be watching very closely. And if there's impacts, I think the idea of meeting with the area residents to find their experiences in the first few weeks is a good one. And we'd be happy to set that up if we can get representatives in the neighborhoods there that would like to do that. And, this is us, the community, this is working with the community to try to find out what works best. What we know is what happened at the end of, particularly last year, can continue. The way it was queued up on both ends and not being able to get through, that's a worse condition. And that's what our concern is right now.
I appreciate all that, and sadly, that's what happens. Things get sloppy, and you know what? This was a problem that was inevitable, sorry. And, when the construction was going on, we all, in the neighborhood, we all kind of suffered through it and said, okay, it's bad now, but when the construction's over, and then when the construction ended, and people kept doing what they were doing before while the construction was happening, where they couldn't go on the school property, and everybody got lazy about it, and then they stayed on the streets. Then it got a little bit better. So that's what happens. You put plans, set plans, and people abide by them for a little while, and then things get loosey-goosey, and people go around, and do whatever they want, no matter what. So I appreciate you saying that you're going to keep an eye on it, and obviously, we're all happy to.
And we're happy to meet with residents if you can get groups of residents on each street to be able to meet with us. We're happy to hear those experiences.
Of course, I think I speak for everybody. Of course, we'd be happy to do that. And again, ultimately, we're all about safety. That's all we're really concerned about.
Sure.
Right? So.
And I'm sure the school would want to hear the same
Thank you.
thing.
Sunset on it so that it forces the school to actually find a solution, as opposed to saying, here it is and we'll figure it out later. Put a 6-month sunset on it.
Oh, I don't want 6 months.
3 months, whatever it is, so that.
We can do it.
I don't want to bring this back up in 3 months.
And then that forces the school.
All right, we will certainly consider that as we get into the resolution. All right, at this point, I think I'm gonna, Mayor. Quickly? Okay. And again, if it's another idea of a solution, we'll put it on the record, but we're gonna have to study.
I'll tell you now, because I told Dr. Alm, I offered my services as a videographer and video production engineer that we can make a video to post on the websites and everything else free of charge. I won't charge.
Are you going to want credits?
No. And we can make a video showing how people should travel, and somebody, either Dr. Alm or you yourself, Mayor, will do the voiceover, and it will explain to the community how you should be driving around these streets. That's all.
Certainly
How about
something to
not
consider.
driving?
I can tell you, no one wants to hear my voice, so it's, I think we'll leave this to someone else. All right, Trustee Epstein and then Trustee Heiser.
I just want to reiterate that it is all about the traffic flow on Ridge Street that we are trying to decrease. That's where the problems are, right? You're worried about EMS getting through and people speeding. People can't be speeding if the cars are blocked on Ridge Street. So they're speeding at different times. So I just want to make that point. They're not speeding during school pickup because people are crawling. The issue that I want to make is, again, let's address why there are more cars. There are more cars because people are not taking the buses. My feeling is if you can focus on the kids actually having to board and use the bus service that they are afforded through our tax dollars, that would be most helpful. And that way, the people that walk in the neighborhood can pick up their kids if they need to. I would encourage all residents to walk if they can. It's actually nicer. I know that the school participates in that Let's Ride to School. It's really, it's lovely. It's creating community. It's a beautiful thing when everybody rides or walks. It's lovely. The issue is kids are taking advantage, and they're not using the buses, and the parents have to insist. Sorry, I feel really strongly about that.
All right, and again, I would say that, again, right now, we're talking about this
Yes.
issue that's before us.
Right, and we're
I would say
pushed into that because of this.
That, I believe there are representatives from the school here. I'm sure they've heard, they're working on their own of other things, but that's not the issue at hand with us right now. Trustee Heiser.
First, I'd like to comment on something that Mr. Handler said. I really like his phrase, holistic solution. I think this board and the school board are in favor of a holistic solution. But it's not that we can snap our fingers and come up with one.
It's been years, decades. What do you mean?
Can you please hold off on comment?
I am talking about the present going forward, not backward. I've lived in this village for 37 years. For 37 years, I've seen cars speed on Ridge Street. This is not a new phenomenon. For 37 years, I've seen traffic backed up on Ridge Street. Once again, not a new phenomenon. So we can beat the dead horse and talk about what should have been done, what should have been done, what should have been done. Or we can talk about what should we do going forward. I prefer the latter. I see nothing to be gained by basically revisiting the past. We can't undo it.
Hold on. Go ahead, just keep talking, David. Just keep talking.
Mr. Grossman, I did not interrupt you, and I've been here a year longer than you have been, so please don't tell me about your 36 years.
All right, we're not going to have back and forth banter.
I think no matter what we try to do, there's going to be a ripple effect. And I am concerned that the ripple effect may have negative consequences, and I think we're going to have to experiment a little bit. I don't think there is a perfect solution that any of us have articulated, but I have been intrigued by some of the proposals that people have mentioned tonight. And I think they all are worthy of study. But all I'm thinking about right now is this the best we can do in the very short term to try to alleviate a problem? If it creates a larger problem, then this is not a good solution. Even if it doesn't create a larger problem, there still may be better solutions. But for now, I think this may be the best we can do because we are up against a very short window. That's probably not the right metaphor. But we are facing a time frame problem. And so, although I am not in love with this proposal, I will be voting in favor of it.
Thank you, Trustee Heiser. Any other comments from the board? All right, can I have a motion and second, please, to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Epstein?
No.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino? And Mayor Klein?
Yes.
This is just to
This
close
is
the
just to
public
close the
hearing.
public hearing, you know that, right?
Oh, yes, close the
To continue debate.
Trying to pull the
Well,
wool
we know how
over
you
your
two are
eyes.
voting. All right, Chris, can we move into the
We have
resolution,
our
please?
moments here.
Was it unanimous to close the public hearing?
Yes.
It was not is it unanimous to close the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
What's in Trustee Crom's mind?
I didn't want to close the public
Sorry
hearing.
about that. Very funny. All right.
All right.
It is a resolution considering adopting a proposed local law modifying Chapter 240 of the Village Code concerning prohibited turns on North Ridge Street. Whereas a local law was introduced before the Board of Trustees to modify Chapter 240 of the Village Code concerning concerning the prohibiting turns on North Ridge Street. And whereas the Board of Trustees classifies this as a type 2 action pursuant to seeker, and whereas a public hearing was held on August 11th, and after a duly noticed public hearing to consider the proposed local law, at which times all persons interested were given an opportunity to be heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the above-mentioned local law amending Chapter 240 of the Village Code concerning the prohibiting turns on North Ridge Street.
Thank you, Chris. Before I get a motion and second on this motion, I can't say I'm in favor of sunsetting this, but I think what I think I would like to amend this to say that conditions on Ridge Street and the surrounding roads should be monitored
Revisited in 3
for
months
the
or
first few
something.
weeks
Reported back.
and reported back, and for the first few weeks, and then maybe bi-monthly after that, and for this to be revisited in 6 months' time.
Why are we pushing it to 6 months? Would 3 months not be more sufficient?
Revisited, but not sunsetting. We don't have to vote on it again.
Revisit in 3 months.
Revisit it in 3 months' time.
It's a compromise.
That's a modification of the resolution.
Yeah.
3 months from
So
when?
can you
3 months from the start of school.
Today.
Let's say from the start of school.
Well, I have a question though. I'm in favor of less than what you just said, the 6 months. 3 months is better. But the truth is, what if there's an issue?
Oh, then
that
it can
perhaps
it's
We'll step
always,
in.
it's always, yeah, then something will happen. There's always the
It's a
possibility.
fluid decision because
There's-
perhaps the school can come up with
No
something.
less-
There's always the possibility of changing things.
No more than 3 months.
So no more than 3 months.
Thank you. That would be,
Okay.
I-
Can you
as
read that
amended, I'm
as
in
amended,
favor of.
please, Chris?
Sure, and be it further resolved that the conditions, the village staff shall monitor and report back to the village board, and that such issue shall be revisited in no more than 3 months from the start of the school period.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion from the board? Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
I'm voting no on it.
Even with your amendment.
Even with my amendment, yes, because I want to make sure that my stand is,
Fine.
my option is there.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thank you, and thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm going to go to resolution number 3. We're going to hold off on 2
Doesn't
for
make a
now.
difference
Sure.
how I voted.
Because I want to discuss something. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna take a 2-minute recess.
No.
Bathroom break?
Actually, I don't think we necessarily need it.
And
No.
advertisement, future meetings, they're going to be discussing a major development at Arrowhead.
Talking
Oh, sorry.
Arrowhead.
Arrowwood.
Just, people here commented about the development in the village. There's a public hearing in early September. A developer is proposing a major development at the old Arrowwood Hotel site. So if you're interested, it's just the start of the process.
Everything is on the village website. Full transparency. Everything's there.
So it's going to affect us.
All right, we're gonna move to resolution number 3, considering approving a digital accessibility policy.
Whereas in 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice updated regulations of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which sets technical requirements for state and local governments to follow and make sure their websites and mobility apps are accessible to people with disabilities. And whereas in April 2026, the DOJ published an interim final rule extending compliance date for state and local governments with entities of populations of under $50,000 or any special district government until April 26, 2028. And whereas Rybrook seeks to be in compliance with those new regulations, and whereas Rybrook has drafted a proposed digital accessibility policy to help meet the new DOJ requirements, and whereas Rybrook seeks to adopt the proposed digital accessibility policy to ensure the village will be in compliance and will adhere to the new regulations, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the proposed digital accessibility policy to come into compliance with the updated regulations for Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
Second.
I think this is relatively straightforward.
Yep, but we should mention this is a I just want to, yeah, it is interesting, and this is a new policy. When we actually have to reach out to all of our vendors and make sure that they are in compliance. We have to, in compliance with the new act. We have the policy for ourselves. We have to do this going forward for any software, anything on our websites, all of our vendors, our mobile apps, everything else needs to be in compliance with these new regulations. And I just want to thank Rebecca Oling, who is a certified professional in accessibility care competencies, or she has a degree in that, and she has worked on these issues as well. And she came in and kind of sat with me and kind of walked through the regulations. She, brought some of the village, village programs and village issues to our attention. We did some research on it and was very helpful through that process.
Thank you, Chris.
This is
Any questions or comments from the board?
this is all about accessing.
Yeah, how
everything,
different ways of making sure you're compliant with how you access, making sure it's
Making
available to individuals with disabilities.
access.
Is there
Yep.
a specific
This is, I mean,
instance that you
for
can
everybody.
provide? Because I don't understand.
What's that?
Can you give me an example?
like if you want to file a complaint, you don't have to come to the village. You should
No,
do it
it's
online,
no.
right?
This
Or
is
if you
more
wanna-
digital. This is all digital. So this is like if your website, you need to have alternate ways for people to access information on your website, for instance.
Okay.
Sometimes it's readers. Sometimes it's
So TDYD or something?
it has to be able to. You have to be able to have multiple ways of accessing it, be able to read it, and it has to be in formats like when you send emails now. The emails just can't be a flyer. The emails have to, whatever's in the flyer also
to
has
be
to
in
be in
writing.
text. Yep.
Got
that's
it.
That's a perfect example.
Right,
That's
thank you.
a new requirement.
Thank you.
So.
Pages.
Okay.
And it doesn't take effect yet, but it takes a while to get these. Even the firms that we're meeting with, they have to meet these web content accessibility guidelines of a certain level, and they have to give a report to that to us, and there's forms that they have to provide to us to make sure that they comply.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution number 4, considering a revised agreement between the Village of Rybrook and New York State Homes and Community Renewal for Risk Program grant funding for benefit cost analysis for the, for the Avon Circle and Portchester Middle School flood mitigation project. Sorry, my computer keeps flicking to something else, trying
So-
to pick up the Wi-Fi.
Whereas Rybrook received a grant for up to $200,000 from the RISK program to complete a cost-benefit analysis for flood mitigation project at Avon Circle and Portchester Middle School, and whereas Rybrook hired Rostan Solutions to conduct that BCA, or the benefit cost analysis, for the project, and whereas Rybrook must approve a revised agreement with RISK to receive the reimbursement to cover the costs associated, and whereas Rybrook seeks to approve the revised agreement between Rybrook and the RISK program. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the proposed revised agreement between Rybrook and the New York State Homes and Community Renewal RISK program for reimbursement for the BCA analysis authored by Rostan, subject to modification by council. Be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary or appropriate to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Chris, just
all of this is simply because they revised the agreement and we have to redo. the
okay.
agreement.
That's what I just wanted. I
We already
mean,
did the project, but they won't reimburse us till we approve the revised agreement.
right. And certainly, obviously, this would be an amazing win if we were able to get this project. It would help the residents of Avon Circle tremendously.
We needed the BCA to be able to go after
Right.
the grants. We got the grant, we finished the BCA, and now we have either 2 or 3 grants for this project in different spots trying to get it.
Hopefully, we get those grants because this would be a great project. We know the Portchester Middle School is on board in the school district, so we're very excited about these. So hopefully, we get our reimbursement and we get those grants. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 5 on a similar thread. Considering a revised agreement between the Village of Rybrook and New York State Homes and Community Renewal for a risk program grant funding, bless you, for engineering services for a potential stormwater drainage modification project in the Brook Lane area.
Okay, this is the exact same thing, new revised agreement, same company, same group, New York State, same revised agreement. The only difference is this is for the hydraulic and hydraulic analysis of the floodplain study in Brook Lane. So now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the revised agreement between Rybrook and the New York State Homes and Community Renewal Risk Program for reimbursement for engineering services for a potential stormwater drainage modification project in the Brook Lane area, subject to modification by council, and be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary or appropriate to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, same thing, different project.
Yep.
This is, again, a great project that would look to divert the flow of water. It's not going right into the brook by Brook Lane, but bring it down a little bit farther, which would actually slow it down probably a little bit too. So.
We actually finished that study, remember, and this is what led to our capital project. We're doing the pumping out of the Brook Lane street area into the brook, and yes, and
Right.
unfortunately we couldn't reroute it because the engineering didn't support it.
All
But
right.
we came up with a different alternative out of the study, so that's where we are.
There we go.
We got to get reimbursed, and we got to approve the agreement to do it.
Sounds good. Any questions or comments from the board?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 6, considering an intermunicipal agreement between the Village of Rybrook and the Blindbrook School District for the 2026-27 Village of Rybrook's after-school program.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook runs a school-age childcare program for after school during the duration of the school year for elementary school children, and whereas the Blindbrook School District has offered the premises of the Bruno and Pontario Ridge Street School to the village to conduct this after-school program, and whereas Rybrook and Blindbrook seeks to enter into an agreement for the use of the schoolwork, and whereas under the terms of the proposed IMA, Rybrook may run the after-school program each day of school operation from 3:10 to 6:30, with exception for conference days with an amended schedule of 11:30 to 6:30 from September 2nd, 2026 through June 25th, 2027, and Rybrook agrees to reimburse the district for 1/3 of the cost of the security monitor during the duration of the after-school program. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the IMA with the Blindbrook School District subject to modification by council for use of the school for the school-aged childcare after-school program for the 2026-27 school year, and be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all the documents necessary to or appropriate to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
I have a question.
No.
Has it always been that way, 1/3 the cost? Have we
Yes.
always contributed?
In the last
Okay.
several years, yeah.
Okay.
I would also say, we're very appreciative of the school district working with us on this. Certainly, I think the school district appreciates it because we have brought a really great program to the district. And I know a lot of people who have used it, and everyone's very complimentary. So I also want to thank our staff for all that they do with this.
It is a real significant dedication of time, and the village should feel good about offering the program. I think if last we had checked, we were only one of 2 municipalities in the county that ran this type of state-authorized school-age childcare program.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just want to say it is very impressive what it's Pleasantville,
Yeah,
and it
Pleasantville.
makes Rybrook, at least this part of Rybrook, definitely a more attractive place to live, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 7, considering approving contract 2618 Village Hall concrete repairs.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook solicited for bids for contract 26-18 concrete repairs, and whereas the bid for concrete was advertised in the Journal News as the official newspaper on July 29th and was also made available on a BidNet Direct bid system, and whereas at 10 a.m. on Friday, August 7th, all bids received were opened and summarized below. We had a total of 5 different bids, and in those bids we had the lowest bid was SNP Consultants of Sylvan Road, Rivervale, New Jersey. And be it further resolved that following the review of the bids by the village administrator and superintendent of public works, the Board of Trustees has determined the lowest responsible bidder meeting the requirements is SNP Consultants of 564 Sylvan Road, Rivervale. That's a weird name. New Jersey, to complete item 1 and item 2, and the contractor corrected their bid at $660, not $6,600. And item 3 of the contract for Village Hall concrete repairs for a total amount of $24,610. Be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary or appropriate to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
I would say, with this, it's nice. It's always nice seeing a lot of bidders on this. We did get a number of bids. Actually, I'm familiar with a few of them, and so it's good to see that, and very glad to be getting this work done, because I've also walked around out here on the concrete. So
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
This is definitely due. Trustee Heiser, I'm sure you have a comment.
I am not going to say what I usually say, which is I don't understand how all these people are bidding on the same project.
Certainly, there are some that are very close together. One definite outlier. So it's always interesting seeing that. So
And again, it is, just so you mentioned, it is $24,610. That is over, because I think we budgeted 20, hoping we're going to be at 20. So at some point, we'll have a resolution transferring the
accept
additional
that.
money. Yeah.
okay. All right. Any other questions or comments from the board?
And Mayor Klein, if I can just make one more comment on this, the reason why it is at that total is because the alternate, the superintendent of public works decided to strike that, and
Right.
that's going to be done in-house. Just
Right.
to-
We saw it's only item 1 and 2.
Yep, just to clarify.
Oh, and 3. Sorry.
Yep. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution number 8, considering approving contract 26-19 HVAC split system.
Whereas we solicited bids for contract 26-19 HVAC split system, and whereas the bid was advertised in the Journal News on July 29th and was also made available in the BidNet Direct Bid System, and whereas at 10:30 a.m. on Friday, August 7th, all bids were opened and are summarized below, and we received a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bids. Now therefore be resolved that following the review of the bids by the village administrator and superintendent of public works, the Board of Trustees determined the lowest responsible bidder meeting the bid requirements is BPI Mechanical Service of Latham, New York, for a total bid amount of $27,743. And be it further resolved that Oscar Acosta, HVAC Now Inc. of Poughkeepsie, New York, is disqualified for unresponsive and incomplete bid documents. And be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary and appropriate to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Second.
Again, a number of bids, and again, a number of different prices. But
Yes.
it's always unfortunate when contractors, are disqualified because of either not getting something in appropriately, not putting the proper bonding in place,
Most
not
of it was
putting
blank.
not doing the right thing. So it's
And there
but
was no bid bond. I think
we
there's
have
no-
to,
yeah.
we have a responsibility to our
And
taxpayers.
another one emailed it, which we can't accept. Now that we've opened up the email, we see the pricing, so we have to disqualify them too.
So, all right. Any questions or comments from the board?
No.
Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Moore?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 9, considering rejecting contract 2616 cameras in the park.
Whereas we solicited bids for cameras in the park, and whereas that bid was advertised in Journal News on June 9th and also made available on the BidNet Direct Bid System, and whereas at 10:30 a.m. on Friday, July 14th, the bids were open and summarized below. We received a total of 4 bids ranging from 15,700 to 62,700. Sorry, there's another bid. 1, 2, 3, 5 bids. Yes, sorry, I didn't see the second page. And whereas Rybrook seeks to reject the bid from Linked Up Security South Street due to the Village of Rybrook seeking to strengthen specifications in the bid proposal, and now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby rejects the bid from Linked Up Security, South Street, Peekskill, New York, due to the Rybrook seeking to strengthen the specifications for the bid proposal.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Second.
A little background, Chris.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
certainly, obviously, we want to get the product that we're looking for. We want to be able to make sure that it's doing what it's intended to.
The prior, the design, we think can be improved. That's why we want to reject this. Our new Dragon Tech, now that they're in a different role, looked at the project and thought it was not going to meet all of our needs. So they are going to make different recommendations in a different scenario to be able to meet what they think will serve us better.
All right.
So they want to do a new bid spec for that.
Sounds
They
good.
were not involved in this one. So.
Right, sounds good. Thank you, Chris. And certainly any, contractor that had that bid on the first will have the opportunity to bid again.
Absolutely.
So once we make sure that the design is appropriate to exactly what we're looking for.
Okay.
Any questions or
Actually,
comments from the
and we're
board?
rejecting actually all bids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 10, considering rejecting contract 26-20 garage door replacement.
Whereas Rybrook solicited bids for the garage door replacement at the firehouse, and whereas those bids were advertised in the Journal News on July 29th and also made available in the BidNet Direct system, and whereas on 11 a.m. on August 7th, all bids were open and received summarized below. We received 2 bids ranging from $44,350 to $69,795. And whereas Rybrook seeks to reject the bid from Forward Door of New York, 404 Bayview Avenue, Inwood, New York, due to the bid exceeding available funds. And further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby rejects the bid from both bids due to the bids exceeding available funds.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
The question with this one, I know the garage door needs to be replaced. Where do we go from here?
We have to just redo it. We want trying to get a wider group of people responding. We had some original verbal estimates that were going to be much less. So, but those groups didn't bid on it. So hopefully we'll get a wider bid, a number of people bidding on it, where the prices will be more competitive.
All right, thank you,
We'll go
Chris.
right back out again.
All right.
Bidding.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments?
Comment.
Yes, please.
Chris, have you looked at the material you're bidding wood again, or is
It's
it
aluminum,
synthetic
right?
or
It's
aluminum?
Aluminum.
Aluminum. Okay.
It's the cheapest we can
Okay.
work with.
Okay.
Yeah, it's aluminum with the wood exterior look. Yeah.
Okay.
Green or
Like a
something.
thermofoil
It'll
type
be
thing.
brown or like we have now.
Try saying that 3 times.
Yeah. All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 11, considering fiscal year 26-27 capital fund budget transfer between capital projects and use of general funds for contingency.
Okay. Whereas the following budget transfers from between capital projects to fund the heating and ventilation system for the police and fire training room renovation be approved. So this is a transfer from the police and fire renovations to the police fire replacement, and also that the police fire renovation budget the training room renovation budget is modified from the approved budget $26,000 to a modified budget of $28,176, which is a change of about $2,200. And be it further resolved, the following general fund transfer from the contingency account and capital budget modifications be approved to fund the National Fitness Campaign Court Studio capital project for the graphic upgrade and concrete work for $10,850, and the Village Hall exterior walkway capital project of $4,610. So that's a total of $15,460. And then there's a series of transfers that make that happen. And be it further resolved that the following capital budget modifications be restated as follows. So now you have the National Fitness Campaign Court is going up $10,850, and the Village Hall exterior walkway is going up $4,610.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, again, just good bookkeeping. So it keeps the stress test low and those audits coming back clean. So thank you, Trish, Lawrence, and all the other staff for everything they do on a daily basis. Any questions or comments from the board?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 12, considering setting a public hearing modifying Chapter 240 20-1 of the Village Code concerning overnight parking licenses.
Now therefore be resolved that a public hearing will be held by the Board of Trustees on Tuesday, September 8th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. on a proposed local law amending Chapter 240 of the Village Code concerning overnight parking licenses.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Chris, a little background on this,
Yeah,
please.
we're finding,
Even
you
though
know,
we'll
we've-
go through it in the public hearing, I think it's important.
Absolutely. So, we've been looking at at the parking that we have at our, we have two lots. We have the Garibaldi parking lot, and we also have the highway garage lot. And what we have here is we issue permits every year for them, but what we're finding is that there's the same people are getting them, and sometimes you get the same family that's always getting them. Like they're getting two in the same family, and you're not finding that others in the neighborhood are having the same type of opportunities to get those licenses. So we thought it makes sense to make some changes. We've had this in place a number of times. So based on what we're seeing, we get frustrated. People get frustrated when they can't get the opportunity to get them. They call up every year because they want to get the permits, and they say no, because if they get renewed, the process now is if they renew them, they don't have a new opportunity to get them. They don't open up.
So no wonder the same people get them.
So they get them because they just renew them. Yeah. So what we're suggesting is that no more than one license for any of the lots shall go to residents at the same address. So in other words, the same living. So only one per address, and also that we're going to do, basically, we'll have a lottery for those licenses. So this way people have an opportunity. They have to submit it by a certain date. We'll hold the lottery, and they'll be able to receive, they have a new opportunity to get the licenses, which kind of opens it up again to anyone in the neighborhood.
How's the identification license?
Yeah, they provide us with ID.
And then if it's a two-family house, you have apartment A, apartment B,
Yeah.
that's separate.
That's separate.
Okay.
Not, it's meant for when it's the same family,
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have like
I know
a
it's hard
husband
to-
and a wife getting
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Right, no, that's fair.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Again, this is just setting the public hearing. We will have a discussion on this, but important to get any initial thoughts out.
I guess my question is, how do you notify the residents that there's going to be a lottery?
We'd probably do a mailing to those streets in the areas. Usually the people
Right.
directly on those roads. There's not that many roads.
Right, I just want to make sure it's equitable.
We'll put it on the bottom of the no left turn signs.
You're funny,
It's,
David.
we can see the frustration because nobody gets a new opportunity to get it, and it's the same
Right,
people.
Right.
year
Of
after year.
course.
That makes sense.
Can you do that with the trains also? Train permit, train parking.
That's
Train-
right.
That is not our purview, not us. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. And again, that was just setting the public hearing for that. If someone's listening at home and has comments on this, you will have your opportunity. Resolution number 13, considering the appointment of a chairperson for the Sustainability Committee.
Now therefore be resolved that Sam Zarkauer of 139 Brush Hollow Crescent is hereby appointed as chair of the Rybrook Sustainability Committee for the balance of the term that expires in the first Monday of April 2027.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved?
Second.
Now, we're only at this crossroads because we've had someone resign who has been the chair. She happens to be sitting in this room. But Debbie, I just want to say thank you for all the service to the village of
What
Rybrook.
happens if we don't accept her resignation?
She is staying on the committee, and we do appreciate all the hard work you've put into this. I think for me, and it used to be that I wasn't the only one up here that had been the chair of the Sustainability Committee when Stephanie was here as well, but I am now, and I can say, I personally think that that's a very important committee in the village of Rybrook, and we appreciate all the hard work you've done. And we also thank Sam Zarkauer for stepping up to be the new chair of the committee. And I hope that Sam finds it as rewarding as I have, and I know that as you have. Any other questions or comments?
Comment, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you to Debbie. She's been a great chair since I've been involved as a liaison. And we understand you're busy with some other duties. Besides your day job, you're a council person now with the town of Rye, so we appreciate that too. So we understand how busy you are. And also just look forward to having Sam as chairman. He's a graduate of Blindbrook High School and went to very prestigious undergrad and law schools, and is employed, gainfully employed, I believe, in a big firm in New York City. So we're appreciative that he's taking the time to chair this important committee.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
You still get ice cream.
Okay, yes, yes, you still get it.
And just very briefly, Debbie, as the staff liaison to the committee, I also want to thank you myself. Well, I've really enjoyed working with you as the chair, and I'll still continue to work with you as a member of the committee. But I know, but
I'm not going anywhere, right.
for a
Not going
time we didn't
anywhere.
have a chair.
You know, we're being way too nice to somebody who's resigning. It seems to me we should save the niceness for Sam. He's the
Right.
one we should show appreciation for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Amazing.
We have other sustainability members here as well tonight.
No, but I do just want to mention for a brief time we were having a difficulty getting a chair, and Debbie, you graciously did step up during that time to become chair. So I really do want to thank you for that, and of course thank you to Sam for his graciously willing to take on that responsibility as well. I look forward to working with him and the rest of the committee going forward. Trustee Epstein,
Yes.
Trustee Heiser,
Yes.
Trustee Crom,
Yes.
Mayor Klein. Oh, Trustee Morlino, sorry,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes, I knew there was one missing there. I wasn't about to answer. I was like, wait a second. All right, thank you. Resolution number 14, but not our last resolution, because we're going to go back in one. Considering approval of the minutes for the meetings held on May 26th and June 9th, 2026.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the minutes for the meetings held on May 28th and June 9th, 2026.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a correction.
Uh-oh, okay, wait a second.
A typo.
You found it? I missed it. Wait, Trustee Heiser missed it.
But I think we got the ayes in before you got the correction in.
Well, I noticed the second one too, because it's the minutes of May 26th, correct? And the resolution talks about.
May 28th.
It's 20, so it's either 20, it's May 26th or 28th. We just have to clarify which is.
But it says resolution considering the approval of the minutes for the meetings held on March 24th.
I have May 28th and June 9th.
Yeah.
Whenever, but anyway, point 7, it should be Weisberg, not Weisberg. Okay, yeah, not a big thing.
Yeah, and it should be May 26th
May 26th? Thank you.
was the date of
Right,
the
it's-
meeting.
it actually says, right, 28th.
I just want to let you know we read these things, you know.
Perfect.
Yay.
Speak for yourself.
I even said it out loud, and it's, my brain's all right. Okay, as amended, can I have a
Aye.
motion second, please?
So-
Did you?
So moved. Aye.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, one last resolution, and I'm going to actually ask for a quick change for that resolution, because what was found was that September 12th is the second night of Rosh Hashanah, and so we want to move it away to September 20th.
September 20th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to recuse myself for this.
So what is this?
Trustee Heiser.
I'll read it.
You want to read it, Chris, please?
Yes. Considering the use of village streets on Valley Terrace for a block party on September 20th, 2026.
Whoops.
Which number is this? Number 2?
Whereas the village has received an email dated August 7th from Judy Klein of 68 Valley Terrace requesting the use of village streets for a block party to be held on September 20th from 4 to 9 p.m. with a rain date of, is there still a rain date? Mayor, is there a rain date?
Of the 21st.
With a rain date of September 21st, and be it further, whereas the village is supportive of this annual block party event, now therefore be it resolved that the Valley Terrace the use of Valley Terrace on Saturday, September 20th from 4 to 9 with a rain date of September 21st.
Time out. Saturday is the 19th.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Whoops.
Not that I would accuse the mayor of
All
being
right, I know this.
sloppy.
I know the actual letter what came from Judy Klein. I'm going to say that I am responsible for these mistakes. That you can blame me.
I hope she doesn't see this.
Let me just point out. She's listening.
What are the dates?
It's now
Add
the
7, you get 19 and 20.
There we go.
If you need a place to stay tonight.
I realize you're an environmentalist and not a mathematician.
What were the dates, David? What are the actuals?
19th and 20th. 20th is the rain date.
All right. So the 19th and the 20th for the block party. There you go.
Are we invited?
And I guess Jason Klein, 68 Valley Terrace. Yes, the trustees are invited to.
What about anybody else?
Attend. It is a block party. It is really just for. We actually call it what we have been calling it recently. It is the Block 5 bus party because bus 5 block party, and it's Valley, Tamarack, and Windsor, and Ridge. In that area, but yes.
Buses being supplied?
No.
Bus 5.
Yeah, I'm over 3/4 of a mile away.
Yeah.
So I think you need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Call
for the roll.
Yeah.
Greg, you can call. Go ahead.
All right. Trustee Epstein,
Yes.
Trustee Heiser,
I think so.
Trustee Crum,
Definitely.
and Trustee Morlino.
Yes.
I should say for the record that this block party has been going on since 2001.
Wow.
And we moved into the village in 09, and then one year it wasn't there, and we said what happened, and they said, well, our kids have aged out, and so we took over, and this was even
Nice.
well a long time ago, so we've been asking this for a while, so it's a nice one. All right, administrator's report.
Okay, just have a few items. Movie night is this Friday, August 14th. That's going to be Smurfs. We've had a lot of events down in July, and August is a little bit lighter, so that's a good thing. Gives everybody a chance to kind of catch up. Other items, I just want to talk about the EPA has now provided us, the New York State Department of Health has now provided us with the site characterization work plan, which is the Mercury investigation plan. And that is now on our website, so we've provided, and I'm going to get that information out to the community tomorrow. So if anybody wants to read through the 200 and 300 pages of their work plan, it is available. Of course, that is subject to modification depending on if they find things and need to do either more testing or different areas. But we've put the work plan on our website. They've also promised to have a new community update, so the state's going to have a new community update in about 2 weeks. And they also promised to have a web page dedicated for this project up shortly thereafter. As soon as that has happened, we'll let the community know about that as well. In terms of the NFC, the sports court, that the concrete was all completed, and the concrete's been cured and tested and meets all that standard. So the equipment, I think, is arriving this week or next week, and then we'll be doing the installation. So we're moving ahead on that as well. E-bikes and e-scooters, there's a lot of discussion in the community going on about that, and I think a lot of misinformation gets out because people don't know what's required or not required. So we put an email out to the community, kind of trying to clarify that a few weeks ago. But just as another reminder, Type 1, Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes are allowed in Westchester County, not Class 3, which is allowed in New York City, but not outside New York City. Class 3 are faster bikes, and they can go generally up to 30 miles an hour. Class 1 and 2 should only go up to 20 miles an hour. People ask, are bikes allowed on public streets? They are. They're allowed on public streets. You have to be 16 years of age to be able to, at least 16 to go on a public street. Other question you get commonly is, are they required to wear helmets? They're not required to wear helmets because age 16, you're not required to have a helmet for bicycles either. You have to have it at earlier ages, but not at age 16. So the rider, as long as they're age 16, as long as they're following the traffic laws, they're not allowed to go on sidewalks. People ask that, why don't they go on sidewalks, or should they be off the sidewalks? They're actually not allowed to be on sidewalks. It's supposed to be labeled so you know it's one of those class 1s or class 2s. The maximum speed limit, again, should be 20 miles an hour, should be following the laws. If they are going on, if they're driving at night, they're supposed to have a white light in the front and a red light in the back from dusk to after dusk. So that's also a requirement under the law. And they give us just a lot of suggestions. Wearing bright clothing at night, so people can see you. Again, following the laws, following the lanes, following the turning areas. Not hitting blind spots. These are all things. Watching car doors opening if you're in more of the commercial areas. Those are all big concerns. I think there's a lot of concerns that the laws haven't quite caught up to the e-bikes yet, because I think people are surprised about the not requiring helmets, for instance. There's a lot more e-bikes than we used to see. E-scooters are a little bit different. So e-scooters are identical in a lot of ways to the e-bikes, but you have to be 16 years of age again. Traffic laws still apply. You're only allowed on public roads, and both bikes and scooters can only be on roadways that have a maximum speed limit of 30 miles an hour. So if it's a road that can go up to 35 or 40, they cannot be on those roadways at all. The two major distinctions between scooters and bikes, e-scooters should have a maximum speed of 15 miles an hour on those types of scooters, and operators who are age 16 and 17 are required to have helmets. So for scooters only, if you're 16 or 17, you have to have a helmet. After that, it's not required. But of course, helmets, we'd always stress that helmets should be worn at all times. We think, is just a good practice, even if it's not required by law. Helmets are a good idea on these bikes and scooters, particularly when you're on these heavily traveled roads. So just kind of want to give an overview. We sent out an email on that, but I think it's good to kind of remind, because I think people have a lot more questions about them. And again, I think there's a lot of laws out there that are being considered, and I think you'll probably see more of that in the future, more changes being considered by the state. Sometimes it's getting harder and harder to recognize an e-bike versus the motorcycles. They're built to look very similar, and motorcycles have come under a whole different category that do have to follow other regulations in terms of permitting and license plates and other things. That's all.
All right, thank you, Chris, and thank you for that information and for sending out the email. Previously, certainly I've seen a lot of these around.
A lot of them.
Safety is a big concern. I've seen them at night with no lights, riding around, in the neighborhoods, and it gets dangerous because, especially if there aren't great conditions. So please, parents, consider this, before you buy one of these for your children, or let them go out with it. I saw one time, I was down in Rye Ridge Shopping Center, and there was a child who was clearly too young to be riding one of these, and the officers had to essentially confiscate the bike, bring the child and the bike home, and inform the parents of what the rules are. So this is becoming more and more of a concern, and hopefully we can keep everyone safe. Any other questions or comments from the board? Yes.
I'd like to thank our staff for the Ice Cream Fridays that we had in Pine Ridge Park. They were tremendous successes. And I'd like to thank Trustee Epstein for the 2 music events that we had.
Thank you.
I know she works very hard at these things. We get a good crowd, and they're greatly appreciated.
We have one more coming up, September 2nd.
Excellent. So, it's certainly something that we enjoy providing for our residents. And again, I'll echo Trustee Heiser, and thank you to everyone who has been involved in those. Greatly appreciated.
Well, it's not only me, everybody helps.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, the next board meeting, next meeting for the Board of Trustees will be on September 8th and September 22nd, 2026. Thank you and have a good night.
Chris, would you show the public the book that I?
Oh, sure.
Oh, well, all right.
David, let me borrow this book. It says no left turns.
And it's about the FBI.
It is about the FBI.
It's about J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI.
It's good. Timing is appropriate.
So, yes. All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.